Track Record with your hosts Mike Shea and Robert Yetter. Brought to you by Eventide Entertainment.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Track Record. My name is Robert Yetter.
My name is Mike Shea.
And we thank you for joining us today. Last week we had an interesting episode, a very sad and cold and dank episode. We talked about records that we were disappointed in. We had high hopes for them, and they pretty much destroyed our souls when we listened to them. Yeah,
that was probably the angriest I've ever been on a podcast.
Yeah, his first words were, fuck this album.
Yeah. You know it's bad when you're reviewing an album and the first thing you say is, fuck this album.
Yeah. So, Mike, you had Hesitation Marks by Nine Inch Nails, and I had the lovely Lou Reed and Metallica album, Lulu.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, and aside from the terribleness of the music, last week's episode had a couple faux pas as far as the editing goes.
You got to realize when we're editing and producing these things, we're either sleep deprived, drunk, or some combination of the two.
Well, it's like nowadays. I know we're kind of, you do more than I do, I think, but I'm still, mixing a few of the Eventide podcasts myself. So
yeah, we try to keep it even. It just depends on the day. I had a really busy week and a half, 2 weeks there, and
it's been a hell of a week for me. It's a lot of. Let me tell you, if you knew what I was doing at work, like, you'd be like, dude, how are your eyeballs still, like, white?
Well, and I work in broadcast TV, and we're going through the start of college football right now, plus the World Series. So,
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. If everyone in America if they spend as much time reading books as they spend watching sports, we'd be the most intelligent country in the world.
Oh, yeah. If you were to take, 2/3, not even 2/3, a third of the money that is spent and paid out to athletes and sports programs, there'd be no more national debt.
Or if you gave that money to teachers.
Yeah, then teachers wouldn't have to get, there's no reason a teacher should have to get a second job. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Speaking of last week's faux pas, can you hear the little girl in the background?
That's the mascot of Track Record. That's
right.
That's Robert's little girl. She's our mascot.
It's a monkey.
who had an extra special guest appearance on the end of last week's episode.
She's been so quiet up until just now. Like, she's just been, like, chilling, watching cartoons, and then, it's Track Record time? Oh, time to make some noise.
Benadryl, my friend. Benadryl. The $7 babysitter. Oh, she's so cute when she sleeps with her eyes open.
On the air,
don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that, folks. It's a joke. These are jokes, people. Don't.
No, I haven't done that, and
we don't drug kids. We don't actually take big diuretic shits on albums. These are jokes and metaphors.
Well,
save your tweets. Save your tweets.
I still need to make that Twitter. But
anyway. I know. So in retrospect, last week's episode it was just so bad. Like, it was so angry and sad. And so we wanted to do something this week that had the opportunity to be a little more positive, a little more fun, just less depressing in general.
That's right.
So the theme for this week's episode is albums we discovered for the first time in 2017. This doesn't necessarily mean they were released in 2017, but it's something that It's an artist or an album that we just never knew existed until this year that we discovered and we're taken with.
That's right.
So we've got two albums today that are extremely different from each other. Have nothing in common whatsoever. And
that is true.
And I think the album I gave you, I think this is the first time I haven't given you a metal album.
Yeah, probably.
Because I gave you Epica, Ailstorm, Death Punch, Judas Priest, Metallica. Yeah, this is the first non-metal album I've given you. So
fair enough.
So let's go ahead and jump into it then, Robert. Why don't you? I guess I'll introduce it first. So the album that I gave to Robert is one I discovered this year by a band called Lunar Sol, and it's their debut album. I discovered them actually because the young woman who is the vocalist for the band, actually, she posts meditation videos on YouTube, and I have insomnia, so I use her videos to help me sleep at night. And she had posted online that she had this band, and I went and checked it out and was like, "Oh, this is neat." So I use that for it's a good album, I think, for long car rides. But I'll let you I'll let you talk about it, Robert.
Okay, so the debut album by Lunar Sol is called New World. It was released September 6th, 2016. And this is my kind of little, if I had to compare it to, other bands, I'm going to throw some of my bands in there. New World is like the child of Kavinsky, Bogeyman's Tears, Slowdive, and Cloud Jolt.
Okay.
And on their website, they offer up the genres of dream pop, ethereal wave, shoegaze, and new age. And I think this album exemplifies how to mix all those together. When I first listened to the album, I knew the genre dream pop would come up when I started searching about them online. That's the genre with the largest piece of the pie. And but each song really takes you in a different, unique direction. And you really get a sense of all those influences coming out in interesting ways. And normally I would say an album like this, one that sounds like none of the songs are really connected, normally I would say that there is some downfall there. But I don't really feel that way with this album for some reason. It's okay to me that there's not a lot of flow to the album, because like I said earlier, each song takes you on a different direction, and the experimentalism of the album doesn't call for as much flow as I would normally prefer. One drawback, though, to having an album like that is that people are more likely to pick and choose songs rather than enjoy that whole piece of work for what it is. But that's just my opinion. I mean, not every album can be a concept album or, have linking tracks, stuff like that. But it just seemed like they were delving into so many different genres that each song was so much different from the other. And really that's kind of the only semi-negative that I can think of. I do want to point out a couple standout songs.
Okay.
One, which was probably my favorite song on the record, which I don't know why, but I'm drawn to this song. It's called The Wanderer. And it sounds like it should be on like a The Last Unicorn soundtrack. It's like it's medieval and fantastical, and I love it. It's really hard to explain, but it has that kind of It's like a traditional, like, European melody to it. I don't know how to say it. It's like a medieval melody. And this is a song where the vocalist really shines too. There's some really high soprano, melody parts that she does very well. And she's a pretty good singer. I like her voice. Another standout for me is a song called Wandering Star. Now, this song is kind of more in the vein of what the rest of the album is like. But this one's very slow, and it's very melodic. It's really beautiful, and it puts you in some sort of trance, really. The melodies are so penetrating, and that song really sticks to you after it's over. And I did want to touch on something that you mentioned last episode, if anyone listened to that. That sad episode.
If anybody listened to that and is still alive,
yeah,
didn't kill themselves out of depression.
I'm sure no one went like, oh, I think I'm going to go check out those albums, actually. I think these fucking douchebags are wrong.
God, I hope not. If they did, I hope they realized just how right we were. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. And so last episode you said that, you compared Lunar Sol to some of the music that I have made. And I think you were totally right. The band uses some of the same aesthetics, if you will, like tremolo picking on guitars, the blending of melodic guitars and electronic music, the ethereal, reverb-heavy vocals, stuff like that, the kind of really experimental, shoegazy type feel. And your comparison was spot on, except The Ether is Tragic came out in 2014, and Kitsune of the Suicide Forest came out in 2015, and those are about 0.0069% as popular as this album. But I'm not butthurt. They have good marketing. They have a bigger fan base. They have more professional recording, more professional studio quality recordings. And it is what it is. But I'm just saying that there's music like this out there, audience. If you want to go listen to more of this type of stuff, there's stuff out there. All right?
Maybe a certain company called Eventide has some available to you if you go to our website. Just saying.
We can provide this to you. Now, I do. It comes with a disclaimer, right? Bogeyman's Tears is probably the closest thing to what Lunar Sol is, with the shoegaze aspect. But I kept hearing Cloud Jolt in there. In every couple songs, I was like, oh man, this sounds exactly like something Cloud Jolt would make.
Especially Kitsune. I think I heard the most similarity between Kitsune and this album.
Yeah, that's the album that matters.
Album.
Our debut album, audience, was called New Appears, and while fun and experimental, it is nowhere near the caliber of our sophomore album, Kitsune of the Suicide Forest. We recorded the first album in the process of a week in college in a dorm room on a laptop, so there you go. It is what it is. I still like it. And so this kind of stuff is really right up my alley, and I am not surprised, actually, that you listen to this, because I know you are a fan of my music, so it only makes sense that you would have an open mind about this kind of stuff, right?
Exactly.
And again, so I don't really have anything negative to say, and I liked it. It's not a masterpiece by any means, but it's really well done and fun to listen to. And so I think that I'm going to give it 3 New World by Lunar Sol gets 3 out of 4 purple stars.
Right on.
It's a good listen, you know. Not for everyone, for sure. It's very avant-garde. It's very new age, like they label it. So it's not going to appeal to everyone. But 3 out of 4.
All right, cool. Yeah, you know, like I said, the reason I even discovered this band is because Haley, the young woman who's the vocalist, she does meditation videos and relaxation videos on YouTube, and since I don't sleep like a normal human being, it was something that just helped me relax, helped me go to sleep at night. That's why I sleep with an iPad next to my bed. And so when she posted about it, I was like, I'm always interested in new music and stuff. And so the first time I heard this, the first thing I thought was, wow, this is what Bogeyman's Tears would sound like if a chick was the singer.
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't mean that as anything derogatory. I mean, it's just a fact. It's not an insult or a compliment. It's just a statement of fact. It's 39 degrees outside, and this is what Bogeyman's Tears would sound like with a girl singing. And the first time I heard it, immediately thought of like, man, can you imagine if like Cloud Jolt or the Tears were doing a show with these guys? Like if both bands were touring bands, it's a show I could see easily being put together.
Yeah.
Because that's how my brain works. I think a lot of the one thing you mentioned was, it does have a bit of a bigger fan base because a lot of the fan base is people who subscribe to her meditation channel on YouTube. Right. Which is just kind of genius marketing when you think about it. She's got her channel is like ridiculously popular. So that probably helped a bit. But yeah, I heard this, and when I thought this was a good opportunity to try something different as far as the albums I've given you. And yeah, I like this one a lot. It's something that's good to listen to. It's a good ambiance album. Yeah. I put this up there with stuff like the Tears and like Cloud Jolt, where rather than when I listen to Judas Priest, my ears are picking up on distinct individual tracks: the vocal track, the bass track, the guitar tracks, the drum track. Right. When I listen to stuff like the Tears and Cloud Jolt and Lunar Sol, everything is kind of enveloped in each other, I think is the way I want to put that, to where it's just one cohesive sound that you just kind of get lost in.
Oh yeah, I know exactly what you're saying.
Which I made the comment earlier about listening to this on long car rides. I actually can't do that with this or Cloud Jolt or the Tears. That stuff I have to be at home to listen to because I zone out way too easily listening to it. When I went camping over the summer, it was a long drive. I tried putting on this or the Tears album, and I was like, I can't do this. I'm going to wreck. And I had to have something that would help me keep my attention a bit more focused. So
that's the new genre, the zone out genre.
Dude, that's once people wisen the fuck up as to what a great genre that is. Like just saying, like, you don't need drugs and alcohol with this stuff.
You better fuck the fuck up, boys.
You don't need drugs and alcohol to enjoy this kind of music. Does it help? That's for you to decide. But it does the job on its own. A couple of my favorites, Wandering Star, like you, is one of my favorites on the album. I think it's a fantastic, well-made track. Also, I really like Shadow Play. I thought Shadow Play was a lot of fun. But, I mean, I dare anybody to find a bad song on the album. Are there some I like more than others? Sure. But I haven't found one on here that I've listened to and been like, oh, this sucks. Like, everything I've listened to on there I've enjoyed.
Yeah. I mean, there's not a bad song. And like I said, they don't flow as well. Right. And really, again, that wasn't that's not a huge deal because each song explores something totally different than the next, right?
Yeah, I feel like you know, when you look at something like the Tears album, that was written for the distinct purpose of taking you on a journey track by track.
Right.
Whereas with this, it's like each individual song takes you on a journey.
Right. Exactly.
So
yeah.
It's not that the album itself has no flow. It's just, it doesn't have like, it's not all pieces of one big adventure. It's a bunch of little tiny adventures.
There you go. That's the way to say it.
Here you go, Mike. Use those English teacher skills. You got this.
You took the words from my brain and you done put them in the form of a sentence, you know?
All right, so 3 out of 4 stars. I think that's one of the higher scores you've given lately.
I highly adequate, yes.
But I've been throwing some crap at you lately, so it's kind of my fault. So yeah, there we go. Lunar Sol, New World.
Pretty much
3 out of 4 stars. Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead,
Mike. You've been throwing crap at me like this entire time, man. There's been Epica and this album that I've enjoyed. But all the rest are big, fucking steamy piles, man.
But I'm learning. I'm learning what does and does not work with you. It's been a learning experience for me.
It's okay. So. I don't mind making Gary Busey jokes. It's fine.
And yeah, I mean, I get some cheap laughs out of it, so it all works out in everybody's favor.
I wonder when the Gary Busey jokes will dry up.
Hopefully never, man. That's good stuff.
I don't know. It's kind of my thing. Maybe the audience likes it. I don't know.
Get 4 or 5 years into this, and they're just still coming out, and every single one's different. Never had to repeat one.
5 years.
God, if we're still doing this in 5 years, like still in basements and
no,
not making any money.
Maybe I'll be doing this like poolside in Florida or something. Who knows?
That's true. You can never know. I'll be doing it in a 1-bedroom or a studio apartment.
You should come like live near me wherever I go.
Anywhere you go, I'll follow you down.
It'll be like we could bring Mitchell into the fold, maybe like more.
It would certainly be a lot easier to run this shit. We were in the same area code,
and so I know because all right. So work. Like I might be going to Florida soon. Who knows? Nobody knows. Maybe. And so I would be closer to Mitchell. And Mitchell's almost done with college. Shout out Mitchell again. Woo woo. We mention you like every time on this podcast. I don't know if you listen to this, Mitchell, but I love you, man. And so I'll be a lot closer. He's almost done with school. Maybe he'll come down and chill with your boy.
I do hope we can get him on here one day. We do talk about him every show, and I'm sure people are probably tired of asking, who the fuck is Mitchell?
Yeah. Mitchell is, he's a god.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
and well, we all some gods, right? And, but Mitchell is definitely.
I mean, the first time I met Mitchell, he was like taking a nap on your couch or something, and then he just randomly sits up, walks over to his little stool, grabs some sheet music, and just starts writing stuff down. Strums a little bit on his guitar, and just goes back to taking a nap. And I was like, I don't know what just happened, but I want to hang out with him.
I love that man.
All right,
but so yeah, eventually we'll all be together, Mike.
Someday. Somewhere out there beyond the pale moonlight.
Some way. Anywho, what were we talking about?
So 3 out of 4 stars for
That's
New World
right.
by Lunar Sol. So if you have not yet checked out Lunar Sol's album New World, go check it out. It is available on Bandcamp. As is. Now, they are not represented by us, but, all of our music is on Bandcamp as well, so happy coincidence.
Yeah, Bandcamp is lovely.
And if you like Lunar Sol, go to the Eventide Bandcamp and check out some of the music we have there. You might be pleasantly surprised.
Maybe get a little moist,
Maybe a little bit. Get a little bit
moisture. Just a little moisture.
Get a little excited there. Listen to some music.
I don't know. Moisture.
So let's do this. Let's take a quick break. We'll listen to me talk about some shit, and then we'll come back and I will talk about some shit. It's
okay.
Going to be the last half of the show is just going to be me talking about shit. So we'll stop. We'll drop out for just a quick second. You guys hear some announcements. We come back and I'll talk about the album that Robert gave me.
There's nothing quite as satisfying as a good conversation with intelligent company. Join comedian Don Smith every week as he sits down and talks with comedians, actors, filmmakers, writers, and everyday schmoes. It's The Life with Don Smith, Wednesdays at noon on 106.9 FM, and now available on the Eventide Entertainment podcast feed every Friday on Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes.
Nerd Versus, Mondays at 9 a.m. on the Eventide Entertainment podcast feed.
Are you into making music, videos, or podcasts? Are you a local comedic talent in need of some much-needed publicity? Are you a behind-the-scenes professional interested in audio-video production, graphic design, and public relations? Eventide Entertainment is actively seeking talents, clients, and professionals to help our business grow into something truly special. And we want you to be one of those. For more information, go to facebook.com/Eventide Entertainment or send us an email at eventideent@gmail.com.
Welcome back to Track Record, guys. Let's spend some time. Robert, tell the kind folks at home, what are we drinking tonight?
That's right. As is customary here on Track Record, we drink during this show.
Oh, do we drink?
and we like to let the audience know. There you go. Take a big old swig. We like to let the audience know what we're drinking, just so they're up to speed on what we like, because that's what this is all about, right?
That's exactly
it's all about us.
Not only are we drunk when we're producing and editing this thing, we're drunk when we're recording it too.
So, that's right.
So, Robert, what do you got?
I mean, we live in the Midwest. Like,
seriously,
what else is there to do?
All we do is drink.
You should see the people here. Come on.
Oh my God,
they're like zombies.
I haven't had online dating sucks in general, but online dating in the Midwest is just it's like that's like when Taco Bell said they had a shrimp taco.
Oh God!
Like it's shrimp, but it's Taco Bell shrimp.
Yeah.
Wow. I think oh man, that's the most insulting. I need to quit drinking.
Killed the mood, man.
Dude. All right, I am drinking. All I'm drinking is Strongbow hard cider. My new favorite hard cider. It is dethroned Angry Orchard, which I never thought was possible. But it's the Honey Crisp Strongbow hard cider, which I highly recommend. Those are the best apples.
It sounds great. They are the best apples.
Yeah, man.
They're the most delicious.
So that's what I'm drinking in my Batman koozie. What do you got, Robert?
I got wait, so did you ever try Reds?
I've tried them all.
Ale?
I've tried them all.
Okay.
And they are
Strongbow is
Strongbow is my favorite. I've yet to have a bad one. I haven't had any that were bad.
Yeah.
Right now the hierarchy is Strongbow number 1, Angry Orchard number 2, Reds number 3, Stella number 4, Woodchuck number 5, Johnny Appleseed number 6.
Okay. Yeah, I would probably have the same order.
Yeah. Johnny Appleseed isn't bad, but it's made by Bud Light, so it's the Bud Light of hard apple juice.
No, that's not a compliment.
No, it's not.
No, that's yeah, that's a good list. I too enjoy a nice hard cider. Right now I'm just shooting tequila, dude. That's
can't do it.
I'm about 6 shots. Six. I can't even say it anymore. 6 shots to the win, right?
Yeah, I can't do tequila.
6 shots.
Tequila.
Oh,
I'm in an abusive relationship with tequila. Tequila beats me, and then I leave, and then it says, "Baby, come back. I promise I've changed." And so I go back, and then it beats me again, and it's just a never-ending vicious cycle.
Listen, if you've known me for quite a while,
yeah.
But if you know me, like when I'm like out and about, or maybe in my previous life, before the kid and stuff and moving and the real job, but I was always known as the person that would convert you. If you were my friend, you were going to get converted to tequila, because I would make you drink that shit, because that would be what I would buy for everyone.
Man.
And so I converted countless people at where I used to work at Longhorn. I converted Mitchell. Who else did I convert?
Did you convert Candace?
Candace drinks a little bit of tequila. We buy this one up here. It's called Corlejo.
I've had that.
The Reposado. It's only about $24 for the 750, which is a little bit pricey for a 750 of liquor, but
it's tequila.
Tequila's
always a little on the pricier side anyway.
Yeah, unless you want like Jose. I mean, or like the freaking what's the really cheap tequila?
I don't know.
Sauza. That's the one.
Yeah.
Sauza.
I had some shit when I was camping called Excelsior.
No, my
God.
That's a great name, though.
It's a fantastic name for something that will just put you down. Oh, man.
See, I've had plenty of hangovers because of tequila, but I think tequila is like one of the nicest drunks, other than like wine.
See,
it just makes
wine.
me feel great.
I don't like wine. Not a wine guy.
Yeah, you did mention that before.
I love my bourbon. I love my rum. I love my whiskey. I love my mead. Love a good mead. And I love my cider.
There you go. Nothing wrong with that.
You ever had mead? You ever had a good mead?
I can't say that I've had a good mead.
There's some guys in Columbus that brew their own mead that the bar I perform at on Mondays they only sell stuff
really?
made in Ohio, and so I'll have to send you a bottle or something. I'll send you a link later that you can pick one you like. They've got some interesting choices.
Well, let me tell you this. Instead of sending me something, why don't you just get something, package it up, and bring your happy ass on down?
I know.
Come to Chicago, Chi-Town.
I know. I need to.
Don't go to Chicago.
Don't actually go to Chicago. There. Go to where you live, just outside.
You're
going to
bypass Chicago and go a little bit north of there. Anywho, we thank you for the messages, Mike.
It's always good to adjourn for a break, only to hear me talk some more, to come back to hear me talk some more.
Maybe who can we get to do? I don't know. That's a topic for
a conversation for off the air. Yeah. But
we're not going to talk business in front of you guys.
So why don't Robert? Why don't you tell the fine folks at home about the album you discovered in 2017 that you wanted me to check out?
The fine folks at home. I like to call them Lilin. It's an Evangelion reference.
It's what I always wondered what that was from.
Thing.
Okay.
So lovely Lilin. For this week, I have selected an album called Codex Omega by Septicflesh for Mike to listen to. It was, I can't remember exactly how I found them. I believe I was tinkering around on, just like related artists to whoever. And they came up and it was, no, you know what it was? It was a, kind of like a top 20 list of the best metal albums to come out this year. I forget the website, but, it was like number 2 on whoever's list this was, and so I was like, all right. They had pretty good choices on the other numbers for their list, so I gave them a try, and I can't believe that I hadn't heard them before, because they are, and now I say symphonic metal with kind of a what's the word? With a
little bit of death metal, a little bit of symphonic metal.
There's a lot of symphony behind the death metal, but it's really the death metal that is at the forefront. So I wouldn't really call it symphonic metal, because we know symphonic metal to be the Epica, the Serenia, the Delane, and the Camelots. Yeah. That's symphonic metal. But that's what you have. I discovered it very recently and decided that I really liked it and I wanted you to listen to it. So what did you think?
I dug it.
Yeah.
Probably the reason, because like you, I never heard of this band, never heard this album before, which is weird for me. But I think the reason for that, for me at least, is in the name of the band. Septicflesh.
Yeah.
Typically, bands that have weird names like that, typically, I tend to just kind of write off, like Goat Whore, Dying Fetus, Anal Cunts. These are all real bands.
That's
people.
one?
That's a real band.
I heard that one.
Stuff like that, I tend to just kind of, brush off. Like, yeah, okay, that's probably just like a generic ass, oh, we're so brutal kind of metal band.
Brutes.
The kind of thing that like would fit in really, and I love Death Clock, but the kind of thing that would fit in really well with Death Clock, like the kind of thing that Death Clock was obviously making fun of.
Yeah.
So when you first were like Septicflesh, I was like, oh, what the fuck am I about to listen to? I dug it though, because ever since I first discovered Camelot in 2011, I'm a sucker for some good symphonic metal, and I've always been a death metal guy. And so to get some, I guess I would call this melodic death metal. It's not quite there. When I think melodic death metal, I think more like Born of Osiris. This is just kind of a happy blend of symphonic metal and death metal. Call it what you will. So I dug the album. I really did. Now, one thing I was amazed to find is that this album was released through Prosthetic Records. Prosthetic Records is the record label that was kind of the top dog for metal for a while, because they were the label that represented All That Remains, Acacia Strain.
Was it really? I've never heard them.
Yeah, All That Remains, Acacia Strain, Gojira, Lamb of God, Testament. All these bands were at one point for a long time on Prosthetic Records. As of right now, the most famous, like the most well-known band on Prosthetic right now, though, is Skeleton Witch. Which
that's a good ass name.
It is, and Skeleton Witch is good shit. But like, just looking at their roster right now, it's like, wow, I haven't heard of any of these guys. Most of the more well-known, because they're kind of a smaller label.
Yeah.
It was basically two guys that used to work for Columbia, went and just started their own metal label. That's all it really was. Now I think they're owned by Sony. I don't know, but
Sony.
Yeah, but yeah, so this was put out through Prosthetic, which it makes me good to see that Prosthetic is still putting out good stuff like this. Because without Prosthetic Records, a lot of the bands that people love nowadays wouldn't have careers. So, the opening track, Dante's Inferno, good God, it's so good. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Oh, I was so taken with it right away. I loved, this is going to be weird, I absolutely loved the orchestral version of Portrait of the Headless Man.
Yeah.
That was really good. And Portrait of a Headless Man is great on its own. But the orchestral version is so beautiful. I cannot wait to go back and pick up more of these guys' stuff and listen to it. Like, this was so good. I expected noise.
Right.
I expected this to just be noise, to be the kind of metal that people who don't actually listen to metal think metal sounds like.
Right. Yeah.
This was...
It comes back down to their name, right?
Again, yeah, it's the name. Septicflesh is one of those names you look at, that you know, like my mother would look at and go, ew, you listen to a band called Septicflesh? And then you're kind of like, I know. It's like, I know, Mom, I know, but seriously, just listen. I promise you it's good.
Yeah.
It's one of the, it's like, you know, if I were to open a restaurant, a seafood restaurant, called My Dick Has Been in All These Fish. The food would have to be really damn good if I were to expect to get any kind of business.
Whoa. Yeah. It's totally...
It's just, I'm just saying, like, it's as someone who does this kind of thing, I'm always worried about branding.
Yeah.
And the fact that the labels were willing to take a chance on a band called Septicflesh, and that because a band called Septicflesh could easily just get lost in the ridiculousness of their own name and just put out generic crap.
Yeah.
But they chose to, in spite of the silliness of their name, put out quality, well-written, well-arranged, unique heavy metal.
Yeah.
And I really, really dig that. I really don't have anything negative to say about this album. I really don't, other than the name of the band.
Yeah.
Because like even the titles of the songs are all interesting and make me like, you know, Our Church Below the Sea, Dark Testament, A Portrait of a Headless Man. Those are titles that make me go, I wonder what this song is about. Even the album name, Codex Omega, that sounds fascinating. Yeah. What's the name of the band? Septicflesh? Well, that's a name.
Yeah.
I mean, the biggest downside to this is just the name of the band. I am fascinated by what I've heard. I am thoroughly looking forward to going back and listening to more of these guys, especially considering that they come from the same essential. I mean, they're where are they from? They're from Greek. They're Greek. They're from Athens. Yeah. So I'm curious to go back and check out more of their stuff because I'm a huge fan of like Greek and Norse and Roman mythology. So
me too.
I'm curious to see if maybe they have some stuff in their music that alludes to some of that, like have some songs about Greek mythology. Because there's lots of Viking bands out there. There's lots of Viking bands out there. And then there's also because there's bands like Amon Amarth, there's bands like Tyr, who are all really heavily steeped in mythology. And I'm really curious to see if Septicflesh has done some Greek mythology in their music. And if they haven't, they fucking need to. Because I would be over the moon to hear some music by these guys about some Greek fucking mythology.
Yeah. It sounded to me that in some of the lyricism for this album, that it leaned towards a more a Christian viewpoint of... One lyric that stands out to me was something like if Satan was the father and Lilith the mother, and I can't remember what the rest of it was, but it is kind of the duality of that, kind of exploring a kind of an inverse ideology to Christianity.
So it seems
like they kind of lean towards something like that.
That sounds so familiar, and I can't think of what song that is. But no, I see where you're coming from. It's very Judeo-Christian, not in the sense that it's worship music, but those are the themes that it's exploring.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I don't know what else. I hate that I like this so much, and I don't have much to say about it other than, holy shit, this was a good album. And I think
it's pretty much similar to what I felt about Lunar Sol. Is like I didn't have a lot to say about it, but other than that, I liked it. It was good. Go listen to that shit.
Yeah, this is an album that people need to go listen to. If you're a metal fan, go check this shit out. This is because I know I'm not the only person out there who's been known to write off a band because of their name, and I know that's kind of judgmental, and it is what it is, but. Again, like, if the first thing I'm going to be introduced to from a band is its name, I don't want my gag reflex to be triggered when I say the name of the band.
Yeah.
But yeah, check out Septicflesh, Codex Omega if you haven't already. Check out some of their other stuff, like I'm going to go do here probably in the next couple days. Yeah, I want to look up like when these guys are going to be on tour. I'd love to go see these guys and see what kind of show they put on live. Because if they've got even a hint of the symphonic metal in them like they do, they got to put on a hell of a live show.
Oh, yeah.
Which is one of the things I love most about symphonic metal in general, is going to see the bands live, because the show itself is just such a spectacle. And to see a band like this put on a show is just gotta be something really worthwhile. So I'm gonna look them up and see if they're a Greek band, so I can't imagine how often they actually make it to the States on a tour, but
it's hard to say. I don't think they're very
yeah, I'm looking at them right now.
As it is.
They have a bunch of tour dates for 2018, but they're all for over in Europe. Looking at their past tour dates, I honestly don't think they've ever actually toured in the States, so, which is a shame. But that's the problem, and I know Epica has talked about this. I know Lacuna Coil has talked about this. It's hard for those bands to tour in the States because of immigration laws. Like, immigration and labor laws are so strict, it's really hard for them to set up tours here. That's why so many American bands tour all over Europe and Asia nowadays, is because it's easier and it's cheaper.
Yeah.
They have to, whenever a European or an Asian band comes over here to the States to play, they have to get all kinds of work visas and passports and shit.
Right, because they're making money here.
Yeah, it's a huge financial, legal pain in the ass. So, but
yeah, I understand that.
So they've put out Codex Omega was their 10th album, and
wow,
yeah, right.
Yeah, and that's what I said last episode. It was like, I know that they've been around for a while, but I didn't know that they made 10 albums.
10 albums, man. And they
crazy.
So I'm curious to see what else these guys have to offer. And just, Jesus Christ, this was just such a good album. So, yeah, this one,
I'm glad you liked it.
I'm giving it 3.5 out of 4 stars.
Okay.
I'm docking half a star for the name of the band. But like that's the worst thing I have to say about it. This is a damn good album, and because the way I listen to most of the music that you give me is I'm on Boost Mobile, and they have their own music streaming app called Tidal, which, because I have an unlimited plan, I get to use for free. So I go through there to listen to all the music you give me, and then if I like it, I actually go out and buy it.
There you go.
So this one I will be purchasing. I will be shelling out the $10 on iTunes to pick this sucker up. This is a good album.
Good.
So yeah, Robert, tell me some more about Septicflesh and what you've learned about them since discovering them.
Well, I haven't learned a whole lot about them. I just have been consuming this album, really. And my favorite song on the album is called Dark Art. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be hard to explain, but I'm going to try. This song does everything right musically that I would like. If you envision like, all right, so you're listening to a song and you think that some sort of thing is going to happen next that you would like to happen next, like a certain drum pattern or, a melody or something like that. Again, it's hard to explain, but that song does everything that I expected, that I was like, oh, it'd be cool if they did this next after this part. They actually did, right?
Is this the one that's like 11 minutes long?
No. That one's later in the album. This one is track number 6.
Okay.
It's only about 5 minutes long.
Okay.
But it just has everything you want and that you expect. I think it's their go-to song. And again, it's hard to explain, but it just has that feeling. Like, as a musician, I pick up on these things, right? It's like, well, what if they split the time signature? What if actually instead of hitting the snare there, they waited and hit the snare later, and it would slow the song down, and stuff like that. That's kind of the stuff that I think about as someone who makes this shit, Mm-hmm. But that song, I don't know what it is about it, but they did everything right that I expected, that I wanted, and it was just beautiful. And like you said, a lot of the orchestral stuff is really well written. Portrait of a Headless Man, that is, you can listen to that just as well as you can listen to the version with the guitars and the lyrics.
You can't go wrong with either version of the song. I mean, it's just wow. That's a damn good song. But yeah, again, it's like there's no song on here that I listened to and was like, could have done without that one. I mean, everything on here is spectacular.
Yeah, audience, go listen to that shit. It's good.
So you guys got 2 highly recommended albums this week: Codex Omega by Septicflesh and New World by Lunar Sol, both drastically different from each other.
Yeah, but that's what makes a person sophisticated. So if you want to be, cool and shit.
What we're trying to say is don't be an elitist asshole, folks.
Yeah. Love all things.
Need to get away from that shit. We really do.
If it's good art, then consume it and spread the word.
Yeah, man. So I thought, because I guess it was my turn to pick the theme for next week's show, that I would try to take us as far off the beaten path as possible.
Yeah, I think you have succeeded in that.
So what I recommended for next week's show is that Robert and I have to throw at the other person what we think is the epitome of a pop album. Mm-hmm. And I am beyond excited to see what you have for me. You half predicted what I was going to give to you earlier, but I think you predicted the artist, but I think you're going to be surprised at which album by that artist I'm giving you.
Okay.
I want you to go first, though.
All right. You're really not going to expect this, but it for me, now, okay, we can talk about pop and its varying, it's a very wide genre, right? There's dream pop, there's electro pop, there's pop rock. There's a lot of stuff that goes into pop, but this album, I think, is the best form of pop. and that is dance pop.
Okay.
Okay, so we're talking, this album is called Fever, and it's by Kylie Minogue.
I haven't listened to Kylie Minogue in years. Wow. Okay.
So, and I was going to pick one of the middle albums by Britney Spears because I think she is probably one of the epitomes of pop.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about it and I was like, dance pop, that's the best pop to me. When you put those European electro vibes in there, and Kylie Minogue I think does that the best, and so that's what you're going to listen to, man.
Yeah, I remember listening to Kylie Minogue when I was in middle school. God. Yeah, because going off what you were saying, like, Britney Spears is the quintessential, like, bubblegum pop. Like, what you think of nowadays when you think of pop music.
Yeah, but that was only her first couple albums. Like, when, think about, like, Toxic. You remember that music video that was everywhere, where she's on the airplane?
Oh, yeah.
Like, that and after, she's been kind of, like... And she delved into, like, the dance pop as well. Mm-hmm. But Kylie Minogue has been firmly in that genre. Fever came out in 2001. And it has Can't Get You Out of My Head, right? You remember that video? MTV,
baby. Vaguely. I vaguely remember that. Okay. This is going to be a trip down memory lane for me. Holy shit.
So, and I'll talk more next episode, but really, Kylie Minogue is, she's not overly sexual. She's not,
no,
she
not at all.
Doesn't have like the most unique voice. And she's not like the best dancer, but she's really, I think, the most real pop artist that you can encounter. So that's that, man. What do you have for me?
So when we were texting earlier, Robert smartly guessed the artist I'd be giving him would be Michael Jackson, who is, undeniably the king of pop.
Right.
So now people who have listened to me and other shows and stuff for any amount of time know I am not the biggest Michael Jackson fan.
Yeah,
by a
me
long
either.
shot. For a lot of different reasons. We're not going to go into any of those. I am speaking solely from a musical standpoint right now.
Yep.
All other bullshit aside. So a lot of folks think, oh, he's going to give him Thriller, right? You're going to give him Thriller or Bad.
Mm-hmm.
No. I am giving you his album from 1991 called Dangerous.
Okay. Was this like right after like Jackson 5 type shit?
This was
like super early.
This was right before.
No, that must have 91. You say?
Yeah, this is 91. So this was right before those first wave of allegations came about.
Yeah.
This is when he was kind of at his peak plastic surgery look. When he was first looking like Diana Ross there.
That was all the way back in 91?
91, man. This was his fourth album. And it was trying to remember which one came before this. This was right after the original Soul of Michael Jackson was released. By like 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
He hadn't put an album out since like the mid 80s. So, but this was an album, and I'll talk more about this in greater detail next time as well. But this is where Michael Jackson really stopped being the young, almost childlike, fun-having pop star.
Right.
And kind of he grew a pair with this album. I think his songwriting really matured.
I'm sorry.
There's so many jokes in there. There's so many jokes in there. But I think his songwriting matured a lot. He collaborated with a lot of different people, one of whom will probably surprise the fuck out of you. My favorite Michael Jackson song of all time is on this album. I won't tell you which one it is yet. And I felt like the lyrical content really pushed the boundaries for what pop music was doing at the time, while still having the widespread appeal of pop music of the 90s. So
yeah. Okay.
So I'm curious to see what you think. I really am.
I look forward to it.
All right. So that'll be for next week's show. It'll be the quintessential pop album episode featuring Kylie Minogue and Michael Jackson. And
there you go.
I tell you right now, I think next week is going to be a fun episode. No matter what.
That's going to look weird on our feed.
It is, because you're just going to see Epica, Five Finger Death Punch, Baby Metal, Kylie Minogue, and Michael Jackson.
Yeah. It's cool.
I'm
not scared.
It's going to be if I was scared, I wouldn't be doing this shit.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun, though. It's going to be a fun episode next week. All right.
That's right.
Robert, I think we have a show, my friend.
Very good.
All right. So while Robert still ponders when he's actually going to put together that Twitter that he keeps threatening to make, hashtag Gary Busey.
That's right.
Want to remind everybody you can check out more information about this show and all the other great shows we have on our website at eventideent.com. Make sure you subscribe to us on Spreaker so you can get our episodes as soon as possible. You even get them faster than you do on iTunes, people. Just saying.
That's right. Fuck Apple.
So do that. Check us out online. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff. You can check out Robert's show, Nerd Versus, every Monday. You can check out my show, Mike Talks Funny, every Tuesday. And you can just check us out all over the interwebs.
We're spread out, man.
We everywhere. It's everywhere. It's all over the walls.
It's so gooey.
It's in my raccoon wounds.
Say what?
What
the hell did you just say?
It's a Family Guy reference. Don't judge me. Anyway, so all right. So check us out online, guys. Thanks for tuning in again this week, and we'll be back again next week with our takes on the quintessential pop albums. I can't wait.
Me either. I hope Gary Busey tunes in.
Oh, man. And with that, let's end on a Gary Busey reference.
Keep eating that potato salad, boy.
I'm going to go have another drink, and we'll see you guys again next week.
Good day.